What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Millie Maker Roundtable here on the Run Pier Sports YouTube channel, talking Week 12 NFL Millie Maker, both on DraftKings and FanDuel, breaking it all down. I'm DraftCheat, of course, and joined, as always, by my guys, Locks and SNYDER. SNYDER, how are you doing on this Saturday night?
Doing pretty good. Just getting off a really good college football slate, hoping to carry it over in the NFL tomorrow. So looking to find some winners here. We had a fun Thursday slate a couple of days ago. Looking to carry that over as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Always a fun three-game NFL slate. Didn't see necessarily the shootout coming between the Patriots and the Vikings myself, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. And we're on to the main slate for Week 12. Locks, how was your Thanksgiving and your initial thoughts here on Week 12 main slate Millie Maker?
Thanksgiving was good, man. Thank you. Just looking forward to diving into another week with you guys. Saturday is one of my favorite days just to dive into all the NFL content for Sunday. So hopefully hit some NBA tonight, leading into a good day tomorrow. So pick some winners tonight and let's get to it. Absolutely.
We'll go game by game as we always do. If you've been watching or listening to this show, you know the drill. We'll follow the DraftKings order of games, talk about each game, all the plays, contrarian strategy, anything that comes up, of course, on the Week 12 slate. With that, let's jump into the first game of the day, Baltimore and Jacksonville. The Ravens favorites on the road here, 3.5-point road favorites, 43.5 total. This Baltimore offense, SNYDER, has been kind of underwhelming. They kind of did a reverse course from what we saw at the beginning of the year, right? The defense was struggling. It was Lamar going off. And then for most of the last 5, 6, 7 games, it's been kind of the opposite of that. The defense has shored up and Lamar has slowed down. But he does get he did get Mark Andrews back last game, played, I think, almost every snap. He seems like he is fully healthy after a few down weeks for him. So I do think on a slate, as usual, tough to find potential big plays at tight end. Mark Andrews has to be in play here. Jacksonville has been gashed by the tight end all year long. Other than that, for Baltimore, I mean, we're going to see a split backfield. I think the receivers, I'm not all that interested in those guys for the most part, though. Interested to get your take, Center, on Demarcus Robinson, and he's coming off a big game, but not sure I'm going to buy back into that. And then Jacksonville, I'm pretty lukewarm on them. I think Travis Etienne is always in play, just given the workload, but there are a lot of very good running backs this week. I'm not sure if he's going to be at the top of my list. So starting off with a game, I'll maybe have some exposure to Andrews, but I'm not going to go crazy with this one. Your thoughts, SNYDER, on Jacksonville and Baltimore?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get too crazy with this. I've been off of the Ravens, surprisingly, pretty much this whole year, except for a couple of the weeks there to start the season. But I don't think I'm going to go right back to him here again. I think this is kind of like a trappy spot for the Ravens going on the road, facing the Jaguars off a bye. They're short road favorites. I usually don't like the back teams like that, but I do think Andrews is definitely a guy to pay up for at tight end this week. We're going to see people pay up for Kelsey some, and then I think the majority of people are just going to punt, and Mark Andrews has that upside to get us like 30 points in a game like this. Good matchup for him. He's definitely going to be the one that Lamar Jackson's looking to in this game. And when your best receiver on the team is Demarcus Robinson, it is pretty tough sledding there for Lamar. And he hasn't really been shown that much upside and that much aggressive nature kind of over the last few weeks. So I think I'm going to kind of stay off of him at that price tag. I do think he's going to come in kind of lower owned. He makes for like a great tournament option if you want to do like a Lamar single with Mark Andrews. I fully get that. Maybe run it back with like a Travis Etienne, or I've been on Chris Kirk a lot the last couple of weeks. I actually played Chris Kirk in cash even last game they played.
Come on,
Christian Kirk, yeah.
First game, you're already mispronouncing things.
Christian Kirk. I just calling him Chris for short, but
Richie Smalls will be on that.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. Christian Kirk has 12, 9, 7, and 10 targets in his last 4 games. I definitely think he's viable here. Although the Ravens have been playing better on defense as of late, most notably at the linebacker position with that key addition they got from Chicago. He's really turned that into a pretty good run-stopping team so far. So I can maybe get to some Christian Kirk. Probably won't get to Zay Jones. He might be like a trendy value play, but I think it's just like Kirk and Mark Andrews in this game for me if I'm going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you on that. I do have a lot of interest in Mark Andrews. I think it's been so long since he's had a big game, right? You had to go all the way back to week 6. So yeah, a month and a half for Mark Andrews. I think he was healthy for that Cleveland game, not 100% sure, but just didn't do anything in that game. I remember I played him on that week, so that was frustrating. And then I think the next week he kind of got hurt early in the game. They had the bye, missed a week, came back. And I do think he's fully healthy. Last week, like I said, he played almost every snap back to his normal role. Isaiah likely out this game. But, like outside of not scoring a touchdown, the stat line looked the same. All the snaps, 8 targets, 6 catches. So I do think another big game's coming for him. And I think maybe Locks, people have kind of forgotten the kind of upside that Mark Andrews brings to the table at a position that really lacks it. So I am in on Mark Andrews, but other than that, I'm not going too much here. What do you see here, Locks, Baltimore, Jacksonville?
Yeah, I don't see a lot here, but just to speak on a little differently than Snyder did, I actually think you can get Lamar Andrews stacked pretty darn low owned this week.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, with likely out, I think Andrews can easily have a big day and break the slate in a spot like this, especially against Jacksonville. I'll definitely have a few shares. I mean, he's the only guy I'm going to have on that team if I'm playing Lamar, so I'll be heavy stacking him and Lamar if I'm playing him. The other guy that's, there to mention is Josh Oliver at 2.5, just in case you're looking for some value later. They play enough tight ends that, he's definitely possible. I think he had 1 target last week, 1 catch for 2 yards, but, he could see more volume because they play double tight end a decent amount. So just some interest in a different way to look at it there if you're trying to find some value. Those are really the only 2 guys I'll even have on that side, but definitely some interest there just for the low ownership. And then on the other side of the ball, Christian Kirk, we can continue to play. We've seen him 10, 7, 9, 12 targets the last 4 weeks. So he's continued to get peppered again. So I have some interest there. And then Travis Etienne, he's always, we've seen him. He's got the ability to break a slate. Yeah, last week it was a little bit of a letdown, or his last game, but I'm willing to go right back there because he can easily break it for us. But those 4 or 5 guys, that's pretty much it for me in this one.
Yeah.
I did have one more thing to mention on the Jaguar side really quick about the tight end position. Evan Ingram, I like him over Hurst. It looks like he's going to be about half the ownership of Hayden Hurst from the Cincinnati side. Same price tag, basically, and the Ravens have struggled against the tight end at times this year. So I think Evan Ingram is a favorite play of mine in tournaments over the cash game guy, Hurst.
Yeah, makes sense. That's Baltimore, Jacksonville, and Duvernay and Robinson, I guess, are both questionable to play. So if those guys do miss, I think going to the cheap tight end, like you said, Locks would make even more sense. But overall, it sounds like we're all kind of lukewarm on that game outside of some Lamar and maybe some Andrews. Let's go to the next game, another one with a low total, Denver and Carolina. Low total kind of undersold a little bit, I think. Locks 36 total between the Broncos and the Panthers. A lot of injuries in this one. Of course, the Broncos receiver core banged up, Judy out, Hamler out. They lost Tim Patrick earlier this year. It's been rough sledding for Denver. And in Carolina, they're going to start their 3rd or 4th quarterback of the year here. Sam Darnold going to step in and start. We saw him last year with the team. I think he'll be better than Baker Mayfield, but I'm not really expecting a lot from Carolina or either offense here. I was foolish enough, Locks, last week to play a bunch of Russell Wilson, my most hated player in the entire league, but I bought in to the matchup against the lowly Las Vegas Raiders, and of course, Russ can't even get it done against them. So going on the road here, I'm done, officially done with Russell Wilson. DraftKings, if you're watching, you can go ahead and remove him from my personal player pool for the rest of his career. I don't need any more Russell Wilson in my life. Denver cut Melvin Gordon this week. He had been fumbling, it seemed like, every game. He hadn't lost that many, but I guess it'll be Latavius Murray carrying the load. I did hear a podcast from a Denver Broncos, can't remember who it was, beat writer, that thinks Marlon Mack could actually lead this backfield in touches, which I don't think I'll actually end up going there, but it's probably enough to get me off of Latavius Murray, which I feel good about anyway. And then really the only play, I guess 2 plays. I'm willing to go back to Greg Dulcich. He's been pretty disappointing after a hot start to the year. but I am willing to go there at a rough tight end position. And then I do think D'Onta Foreman could potentially come up with a big game here. He's been very game script dependent. If you look at the last 5, basically since he took over the role with the Christian McCaffrey trade, he's had 3 really, really nice games, over 100 yards in each of them, and then 2 really bad ones when they kind of fell behind and the offense couldn't do anything. But I do think he still has that role to himself for the most part, Lock. So I'm willing to go to D'Onta Foreman, probably a better play on FanDuel where it's not PPR and it's kind of, touchdown heavy. But Foreman looks okay. Dulcich, I guess Sutton if you wanted to go there. But this is another game, maybe one piece on any individual lineup. I don't want to get overexposed to a game with the 36 total and these 2 quarterbacks going at it. Your thoughts here, Lux?
You're not on 4-9 Sam Darnold? Come on, DC.
No.
No interest there. I'm with you on that one. Even though he's only 900 above Sam Ellinger's first price, I don't know. You got to sprinkle him in, don't you, in 150? Trying to win Philly?
No, I'm not.
All right, I'm throwing him in one lineup just because.
I can do him in one lineup. I can do that. I can do it.
You never know. If I ship with Sam Darnold, I'm buying every Sam Darnold jersey out there.
Yeah.
No, in this game, I'm not going to have much interest. I was with you last week. I had Russell Wilson in my freaking core.
Yeah.
It shot me in the foot. I thought he was in a perfect freaking spot.
He was in a perfect spot. It's just
it is what it is. It's DFS. They lowered his price by $400 to get me more intrigued again. So I might go back. I might go
Don't
back
do
as
it.
well.
Don't do it,
So if I play him, I'm playing him with Sutton or Dulcich. Those are the only 2 guys on this team that I'm gonna play. I don't know about Latavius Murray, man. I'm probably not gonna play him. He's 5K. I don't know. I just like too many other running backs. He's dusty. Maybe Marlon Mack at 4K. I'll sprinkle him in just in case he gets some touches. But again, anybody like that, I'm just going to have barely a sprinkle at all in my 150. On the other side of the ball, only guy I have interest in is D'Onta Foreman. Like you said, it's really the only guy that appeals me at all on this team, especially now we're changing quarterbacks again. So who knows what's going to happen. So on that side of the ball, D'Onta Foreman. The other side, Wilson, Sutton, Dulcich are in my pool, but not heavy.
Yeah, we'll get to it momentarily, but there are some running backs in some really, really good spots in the mid-range. It's going to be a position where you're going to have to hit on at least 2 running backs, maybe 3. I think most teams will probably go 3 in the flex. There's going to be some heavy chalk, but some guys in really good spots. I don't think I really want to mess with these Denver running backs. Foreman, the guy that I'd be most likely to go to in this game. Snyder, your thoughts, Carolina, Denver?
Yeah, I think this is pretty much just a stay away game for me. We've got a total like right around 36, 37. I really have no interest in. I can't imagine clicking on Dusty Lat Murray as a tag here. If he's going to be like 20% ownership or somewhere around there, I just couldn't imagine clicking that. Versus a team that's actually been really good against the run this year outside of 2 games. They gave up 2 spike week games, but besides that, they've been actually pretty good against the run. They shut down the Ravens rush attack last week, and I think they're going to pretty much shut down this Denver Broncos rushing attack too. Marlon Mack, I'm not going to go there. He's 4K, but I don't think I could go. I'm just going to fade this game as a whole. I think Cortland Sutton maybe is a solid as a one-off. I think some people are kind of talking up DJ Moore to try and make that a thing, but this Denver pass defense has been elite this year, and I definitely don't want to attack that with Mr. Darnold this week. So I think this is just a full fade for me on this game.
Yeah, I think if you want to play Marlon Mack, the place to do it is on FanDuel, where he's $4,500. I get he's $500 more, but again, a more touchdown site. I don't think he's going to get 100 yards. I don't think he's going to catch many passes. And the relative price difference is, even though he's more expensive on FanDuel, the relative price difference between what you can get, I think makes him make more sense over there. But again, that's a very contrarian play. I assume he'll be very low owned. That's Marlon Mack. But I still, given the ownership, would rather play him over Latavius Murray. I think they'll basically have a split backfield. One's cheaper and one I think will be much less owned in Marlon Mack. Let's go to the next game. Tampa Bay and the Cleveland Browns. It is the Bucs who are favored on the road here, 3.5-point favorites. Last ride for Jacoby Brissett before Deshaun Watson comes back. Browns have been kind of up and down, but Brissett's been pretty solid. Amari Cooper coming off the big game. And then, of course, the big news here, though, is Leonard Fournette has been ruled out. I think just today he was ruled out. There was kind of rumors that it would be Rachaad White taking over the lead role. He had to start last week, 22 carries, 100, or that was back in week 10, rather, but 22 carries, 105 yards. His backup, I think the only guy they have there is Keyshawn Vaughn, SNYDER. So, I mean, Vaughn's been there a while, right? And they clearly don't like the guy. Yeah, they like he's been buried on the depth chart. They bought in Leonard Fournette. They drafted Rachaad White. Vaughn's been barely. Gio Bernard got hurt. Like they clearly don't think a ton of Keyshawn Vaughn. So, I mean, I think Rachaad White probably gets all he can handle here. And he's 5,100 on DraftKings. I assume he is going to be massively chalky, in my opinion, rightfully so. Really good matchup here, too, against Cleveland, who's been kind of gashed on the ground. He should be involved in the pass game. I mean, other than the ownership, what really can you say bad about Rachaad White? So he's the biggest talking point, whether or not to eat that chalk. I'm leaning toward playing quite a bit of Rachaad White. Talk to me in general about Cleveland and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think Rachaad White's definitely going to at least be one of the top two highest owned plays on this slate here this week. Definitely, I'm going to have him definitely in cash. Probably I might even just get overweight on him throughout the rest of the deal. He had 22 carries for 105 yards last week. He's got pass catching upside too out of the backfield. So definitely going to have some Rachaad White in my player pool. I don't think I can play Tom Brady though, or his pass catchers. No. I really like Jacoby Brissett in this game, but I will say there is some weather here to kind of watch out for. It looks like there's like a 50 to 60% chance of rain throughout this game, which could maybe affect a few things, but the wind's going to be down though, so that's a good thing. I really don't care about the rain as much as long as the wind's not blowing as well. So I really like Amari Cooper in this spot. It looks like he's going to be like under 5% owned, like maybe like 2 to 3% owned even. He's coming off that big game in the Dome against the Bills, 8 for 113 and 2. 2 games ago, his last home game, he went for 131 yards and a touchdown as well. We usually like to play Amari Cooper at home and not on the road, so he's got a home game here. I think he's a really good tournament play. I could even play a Brissett double, maybe throw Peoples-Jones in there too. It's going to be really unique, like a million maker type deal, but Peoples-Jones has caught five passes. He's caught 5 passes, 4, 6, 4, 4. So he's been really used in the pass game a lot. Hasn't hit that 100-yard bonus yet, but did finally find the end zone last week for his first time. So I'm really interested in these Brissett doubles. As long as the weather isn't absolutely horrible, I will still jam some of these doubles in and bring it back with Rachaad White, which I think is a way to get different by playing White this weekend.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I've been on the Peoples-Jones train recently. I don't think I'll probably end up going there this week, but I will jump back on, assuming kind of good weather. Obviously, Cleveland, you never know, especially when Deshaun Watson gets back in there, man. The guy can extend plays. Peoples-Jones, a guy who can get down the field, make contested catches. I really like how he profiles with Deshaun Watson. Obviously, that doesn't apply to this week, but just a note for the weeks ahead. But yeah, I mean, locks, Rachaad White, 5,100. I mean, they love doing dump offs to Leonard Fournette. I assume White's going to get most, if not all, of that work. If you look at White's college career, I mean, he was. I'm looking at Player Profiler, which has the kind of the college statistics. He had a 98th percentile college target share for running back, so he can obviously do it in the passing game. And I mean, 5,100 just seems like you never want to call any NFL player a lock, but about as close as it gets for me. So, yeah, talk me off White if you can. I know he's going to be popular, but that's chalk I personally intend on eating. What do you see here, Tampa Bay and Cleveland locks?
Yeah, I agree. That's one of those things where that's just good chalk. When we're talking about Latavius Murray at 5K, I would much rather play Rachaad White at 5,100. So
even if he's triple the ownership, I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't care about that. It's good chalk. There's plenty of other spots I can get different than everybody else. So definitely fine eating that chalk. Jam him in. He's going to get the dump offs. Keyshawn Vaughn, he might steal a tiny bit of work, but not enough for me to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw White get 22 carries for 105 yards last week. So I think that just continues more of the same. And he's going to catch some passes out of the backfield. So he's just a smash tomorrow, I think. The Browns' run D is okay, but I mean, he's going to, like what we said, he's going to catch dump off. So he's going to get all the work. Definitely jam him in. I don't really like, to be honest, anybody else in Tampa. I haven't been on them all year. They got too many guys. Brady's old and dusty. I'm not playing anymore from that game, to be honest with you, on that side of the ball. On the Browns side, I don't have much interest in the running game. The two guys in the passing game I do like are actually DPJ at 4,800 and Njoku at 3,600 at the tight end position. Those are the two guys that I do like. Brissett likes both those guys. I just think a lot of people will play Cooper off his big game again last week, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. So I just don't think he does that again. And we've seen Peoples-Jones be consistent for us. He's been 11 points or more the last 5 weeks without even scoring a touchdown until last week. So I love it. I was a little worried last week. I had him in my core, and then he caught that late touchdown, so he saved us a little. Yeah. But I'll be going right back to him. He's got a cheap price tag, continues to get the targets. So I'd say for me, Peoples-Jones and Njoku, and then on the other side, Rachaad White, and that's pretty much it for me in this one.
Yeah, maybe one to keep an eye on. 42 total right now, but like Snyder said, wind and rain projected. So if that total starts to drop, that would just make me like Rachaad White even more, which is the main guy I like in this game anyway. So just something to keep an eye on as we obviously get closer to lock on Sunday morning. We'll go to Houston and Miami next. Certainly, and another interesting one here. Miami, massive favorites, 14-point home favorites against the lowly Texans, 47 total. So big favorites and a high total. And locks, we have pretty big news. Raheem Mostert, who is obviously Miami's lead back for most of the year. Kind of surprising. Remember, it was supposed to be Chase Edmonds, or most people thought it would be Chase Edmonds, myself included. Turned out to be Mostert. Then they trade for Jeff Wilson after the 49ers traded for Christian McCaffrey, right? It seemed like the 49ers just kind of had too many running backs, so they freed Jeff Wilson, sent him to his former offensive coordinator coach in Miami. Wilson actually kind of immediately took over the lead role. If you look at like snaps and carries and stuff, 17 carries in his last game against Cleveland, 119 yards on the ground, scored a touchdown, 5 targets. That was with sharing the snaps with Raheem Mostert. Mostert now doubtful to play in this game. Houston, I believe, has given up the most fantasy points of any team, or close to it anyway, to running backs. And Miami really doesn't have much. I mean, the backups there are Sullivan, Ahmad, and I guess Myles Gaskin. And I mean, you got to think this is going to be a lot of Jeff Wilson. We just talked about Rachaad White. I throw Wilson kind of in that same bucket as I think really, really good chalk. So he's going to be chalk too. Obviously, the other Miami guys, I mean, the Tua, Tyreek, Waddle stack has been, I think, kind of the number one double stack with a quarterback this year overall. But yeah, a lot of interesting ways you can go. I'm kind of leaning toward eating some more chalk with Jeff Wilson, to be honest. Houston, hard for me to make a case for many Houston guys. They will have Kyle Allen behind center for this game, benching Davis Mills. Allen is 4,800. Maybe he breathes some life into guys like Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks, but I don't know. I'm hesitant on the Houston guys. Talk to me lots about Houston and Miami.
Yeah, definitely an interesting one. And I think, to your point of Wilson, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to go to this passing game too. And I just think Houston's passing D is way better than their rushing D. So I think I'm going to get away from the Tua and Tyreek ownership, and I'm going to play Wilson too. I'll eat that chalk. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a week to spend down at running back, in my opinion. That's what I'm going to be doing a lot and paying up for the wideouts, more than likely. Just looking at this, I mean, we just talked about two guys, White and now Wilson, are just going to get massive loads, I think. I mean, they're both going to have over 20 carries, in my opinion. So I'll definitely be jamming Wilson in quite a bunch. I'm not going to be too high on much of this passing game. I'm going to look elsewhere for my passing game. I'm not going to spend it here. I think there's going to be too much ownership here for me to really want to get on this game. And then on the other side of the ball, like you said, they're changing quarterbacks. I don't know. Dameon Pierce is interesting just because he had a bad week last week, but he's priced above the two guys we just talked about. So, yeah, I'll have him in my pool, but probably not high. And then the other guy is just Nico Collins at 4,100. We've seen him get 10 and 7 targets the last couple of weeks. I think he gets the same even from Kyle Allen. So I don't mind him at 4-1. Brandon Cooks at 5-2 is just a little too expensive for me with the QB switch that I don't know about yet. So Nico Collins, and then on the other side, Jeff Wilson. Other than that, I'll sprinkle in Tyreek and Waddle just because I can't fully X those guys out. They're able to break a slate, but I'm not going to be as high as the field on them.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Snyder, what are your thoughts here on Houston and Miami?
Yeah, last game we talked about possibly the highest owned guy, and if he's not the highest owned guy, it's because of Jeff Wilson. I think Jeff Wilson will be the highest owned guy on the slate. I'm seeing his ownership right around like 40 to 50%, so he's going to be a near lock for a lot of people, especially the cash game and single entry guys. I think if you're doing tournaments, I think I would kind of build them in sets and do like one set with White and Wilson, and then do another set where you max one of those two to kind of try and get a little bit different there. So I think that's interesting. But I do kind of like the passing attack here, just off as leverage off of Jeff Wilson. If he's going to be that high owned, I'm looking at ownerships of Tua like right around 10%. Waddle's going to be like right around 5 to 8%, it looks like. But Tyreek Hill's going to see some ownership, probably somewhere around 20% owned. But I think the Tua doubles is the way I'm looking to kind of leverage Wilson in the lineups. I don't play Wilson. I want to kind of play some Tua doubles there just to kind of get a little bit different there. Big favorites here. I mean, we could definitely see, I wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw Tua throw for 300 plus and 3 or 4 touchdowns again. Tyreek gets 2, maybe Waddle gets 1 or 2. I think that could absolutely kind of nuke the slate as the key leverage off of the main highest owned guy on the slate. So I'm kind of looking at that for tournaments. If I was going to run it back with anyone, it's probably Nico Collins, just to make it kind of work with the price and stuff. Nico Collins is only 4.1K. He's been pretty active in the last 2 games, 17 targets the last 2 games. So I think that's the spot I would look to go. At the tight ends, I mean, you could throw some Gesicki in there too as a double, like with maybe a max 2 of those 3 pass catchers. Jordan Akins, a punt tight end for Houston's interesting, 2.7K. Didn't do much last week, but the week before he had 3 for 72. So I think that's interesting. But I definitely like Wilson. I'll have him in a ton of lineups, but I'm going to have some Tua doubles in the lineups I don't have him in.
Yeah, we really haven't seen Miami get off to like big leads, but there's definitely a chance they could be one of those teams that just keeps throwing the ball, right? If it's rolling, if it's working, they got two awesome receivers and Tua. So you could see that. We just don't really know exactly how they'll approach it. I do obviously expect them to run away with this game, as does Vegas, as their 14-point favorites. I personally lean the Wilson route, but yeah, I have no problem going with the passing game as leverage off of who I think will be the highest owned guy on the slate. I think it'll be close between him and Rachaad White. I really like both guys, obviously. Let's go to the next game, Chicago and the New York Jets. Zach Wilson finally, mercifully, whatever adjective you want to use, has been benched by the Jets. It'll be Mike White behind center. Yeah, I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on him. He's 4,900. He's super cheap. I don't know. I mean, there's a chance it's like Zach Wilson's so bad. It could have been him that's really holding back this offense. So it's a great matchup. They're at home. They're against the Chicago Bears. And from, I don't know, reading the tea leaves and reading quotes and stuff, it kind of seems like a lot of the Jets players are happy to have Zach Wilson out of there. So I wouldn't shock me, Locks, to see kind of an offensive resurgence or rebound, whatever you want to call it, from the Jets and Mike White. They've got some cheap, talented wide receivers, right? I mean, Garrett Wilson, good young receivers, 4,300. Corey Davis going to play in this game. He's 4,200. Who knows? Maybe Elijah Moore gets back involved. He's almost been priced. Conklin is cheap and has had some big games and has a reasonable amount of talent. So there's some interesting plays here from the Jets, including the running backs. And then from the Bears side, Justin Fields has been questionable all week with the separated shoulder. It seemed like he had a hurt hamstring at the end of that last game too. I don't know if you guys saw that. So I do expect him to sit. They did activate Nathan Peterman, their third string quarterback, off of the practice squad, which usually is an indication that the starting quarterback will sit. Seems like the smart thing to do for Chicago, frankly. So I do expect Fields to sit this one out, Locks. And it should be Trevor Siemian back under center. He's obviously made some starts for different teams over the years. I'm not going to him against the Jets. I think the Jets defense is interesting, but the Jets offense for me is kind of the bigger talking point here. Montgomery, Jets running backs I think are okay, but for me, a long ways behind guys like Wilson and Rachaad White. Talk to me, Locks, about Chicago and the New York Jets.
Yeah, this game's interesting. On the Chicago side, in all honesty, if Fields is out, I'm not even touching.
I'm scrapping the Chicago offense.
I mean, that defense or that offense, I'm just nope. X them out, take them out, unless Fields somehow miraculously plays. But I think they're stupid if they rush him out there. Just have him sit for a week.
I mean, they're going for a better draft pick. They should want to lose. It'd be crazy to roll Fields out there when he's injured against a tough defense. It makes no sense. But
exactly, and that's where I'm heading to is the defense. I mean, I'm going to play the Jets D quite a bit. I mean, they're just in a smash spot. I know everyone's going to play them. It's one of those things where I don't care. I mean, they're going to start Trevor Siemian. They got no offense without Justin Fields, so I'm going to smash the Jets defense. Mike White's 4,900. This entire offense is just cheap as can be. I think everyone's going to go there. I really do. And it's crazy to me. I'm going to have them a little bit, but I'm going to be definitely under the field on this offense. I just think everybody's going there because, hey, a 4.9 QB with all $4,000 wide receivers and a 3K tight end,
Yeah.
What do you think about Wilson coming in at like around 25% ownership, it looks like?
I know, and that's what I'm seeing. I don't know if I can do it. I think I'm going to spend elsewhere because I'm going to save at running back. So I don't really need all this value, especially with the ownership. And it's the Jets. I mean, come on. It's the Jets. We haven't seen Mike White really play. There's going to be rain, I think, from what I'm seeing. So I'm really going to be lower on this game than a lot of people, I think.
He did have that one good game last year against the Bengals.
Yeah, so he could do it.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying he can't. I just, with all this ownership going here, I don't think I can. I might actually go to like Michael Carter or something just to get a little bit different if I have to. But for me, this game is going to be a lot less. I'm just going to have bits and pieces. I'll have a little bit of Wilson. Conklin, you got to throw in there at 3,100. Elijah Moore is probably the other one that interests me with White. I think he gets a little bit more involved this week, and he's only $3,500. So he'll be in my pool too. I will have Mike White in my pool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm going to totally X him out of here. I'm just saying I'm not going to be high on him like I am the rest of these guys. But probably those 4 or 5 guys on the Jets side for me, nobody on the Bears side, and then jamming the Jets D.
Yeah, big game for Mike White here, Snyder. I mean, he's got a chance to run with this starting job on a team with a really good defense and some talent around him, right? I think if he plays well, he'll keep starting over Flacco and obviously Zach Wilson. So big game for him. Your thoughts, Snyder, on this game in general?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much in lockstep with Locks there as we dive into this Jets game. We did see Mike White have that one good game last year against Cincinnati. He threw for like 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's definitely on the table, I guess, against this Bears defense. Pretty good home favorites here. The total is kind of low, but I think that's just because the Bears offense is going to be pretty bad here in this spot. So I definitely like the Jets defense there. I really like that Michael Carter call there too, kind of as leverage off of some of these 5K RBs. He did average 22 points a game with Mike White in his 3 starts last year. So I think that's interesting to note. So I really like Michael Carter for GPPs as well. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with Garrett Wilson yet. I'm contemplating playing him in cash. It's probably one of the spots I would play him. I'm not going to be on any of the Bears though as well. I really like the Jets spot at defense there too. I don't think a lot of people are going to be spending that much. I think the majority of the defense ownership, like 30, 40%, maybe more, is going to be on the Chiefs in that 2K range. So I like the Jets call there on defense at only 3-3. Yeah,
the interesting thing about the Jets receivers is Mike White is like a true traditional pocket passer type, right? Like he's very, very different from Zach Wilson. He played parts of 4 games last year and had a grand total of I'm seeing -1 rushing yards. So he's going to throw the ball, right? I think. yeah, the Jets guys are so cheap that if he has any success at all, some of those guys are probably going to get there. So something to keep in mind with the Jets. But I'm with you guys. I'm off this Bears offense, and yeah, give me all the Jets D I can get. They'll be popular, but that's chalk I'm willing to eat as well. Let's go to Cincinnati and Tennessee next. Big game here in terms of kind of the playoff race, playoff positioning standings. 43 total. Bengals favored by 1.5, and we have more running back news. Snyder, Joe Mixon, who was concussed in that Week 11 game against Pittsburgh, has been ruled out. We saw Samaje Perine come in and score, 3 touchdowns in that game? So the Bengals running backs have been going crazy over the last few weeks. 30.2 DraftKings points for Perine, 5,600. He will likely get most of the work. They do have Chris Evans there, who I think maybe will work in some, but yeah, I do expect this to be, similar maybe to the workload that Joe Mixon got. We'll just go to Perine, who I'm not sure he's not a better player, frankly, than Joe Mixon. I know Mixon had the big game, but I think Perine can step right in there and do it. He kind of proved it last week. Kind of a tough matchup against Tennessee, but still, you got to be interested in Perine at 5,600. Tennessee, we kind of know what their plan is. Obviously, going to try to feed Derrick Henry, player that I struggle to get right, but massive upside each and every week. And then I think for Tennessee, the other guy that you got to take a look at is Treylon Burks, who did have 7 receptions, 111 yards in his last game against Green Bay. Talented dude. I think he's the pass catcher you want from Tennessee. No Jamar Chase yet, right? Is he ruled out? I think he got ruled out.
I think he's going to be out. I don't know if it's confirmed yet. I think he's out.
Doubtful for Jamar Chase. I'm assuming he's going to be out. So certainly T. Higgins and I guess Hayden Hurst would be the guys maybe you would look at Cincinnati. What do you see here, Snyder?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people are going to be trying to make the Joey B stacks here work. It'll be interesting to see if Chase does, in fact, sit out. I think that's going to definitely boost the ownership of Higgins. And Hayden Hurst is going to be pretty popular. But the Tennessee has been bad against receivers as of late, but they've been actually pretty good against the tight end. So I think I'm going to be off of Hurst. Like I said, I'd rather play Ingram over Hurst for half the ownership. I'm not sure what I'm going to quite do with this Bengals side of the ball yet, but I definitely want to keep going back to King Henry here, especially when he's going to be under 15% ownership. The Bengals have been pretty bad against the run here too. They gave up over 40 points to the Browns. They gave up 24 points to the Carolina Panthers. And then last week to the dusty Steelers running backs, they gave up 30 points against them. So I think this is a great spot to play Derrick Henry at home. The line's moving back towards the Titans side. So I think this is a spot where I'm going to be looking to play some King Henry. And then I'd probably play some Higgins if we do get Chase rolled out for sure. I still think Boyd's an all right tournament play. Hasn't really done much the last 2 games, but he's still seeing the targets. So I think he's an interesting tournament option over Higgins. I think Higgins' ownership will probably go upwards of like 25% once we do, in fact, get that news if Chase is out. But this Bengals passing attack isn't the same without Chase in there. So that's a little bit of a worry to me with Burrow. But, I mean, Joe Burrow can definitely absolutely nuke a slate at any point in time. And this is a nut matchup for him. But I'm going to side to the King Henry side more in this game.
Yeah, I think you'll get Derrick Henry pretty low owned locks just because of the great value at running backs. But you can certainly afford him. It's an interesting slate this week where some of the best wide receivers aren't on the slate. It is a little bit – I mean, we lost Cooper Kupp. Obviously, Justin Jefferson played on Thanksgiving. So you do have money to spend. You could certainly get to Derrick Henry if you want to. Your thoughts on him? T. Higgins, just given the state of the wide receiver position on this slate, he looks like one of the better options to me. So, yeah, definitely some interesting plays here. Your thoughts, Locks?
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff here. I'm definitely not chasing the Perine ceiling game. I might actually even just click him out of my entire pool in my 150, to be honest. So I think I'm going to fade him. There's too many other guys below him. There's too many guys above him. I don't think he's going to do anything this week. I think it's possible that we see Joe Burrow and another Millie Maker. We've seen it a couple times where the guy just, if he catches it, he goes off if he catches fire. So, I mean, pairing him with Higgins and Boyd, I don't care. I don't mind playing both of those guys with him and running it back with Henry. That's like my favorite thought about this game, to be honest with you, is Burrow, Higgins, and Boyd, run it back with Henry and just have yourself a day. You can easily fit Henry with two of those other 5K running backs that we said. So that's definitely a lot of interest I have. That's definitely a route I'm going to go with some of my teams. I don't have much interest in Hurst. Like Snyder said, Titans are decent against tight ends, so I won't have much interest there. I do like the Traylon Burks call at 4,200. The guy's talented. I think he's just going to continue to get more and more targets. So him and Henry on the Titan side. On the other side, I like Burrow, Higgins, and Boyd. I'm pretty much going to be off of Pirine, and like I said, I think I'm completely taking him out, and then I'll sprinkle in a little bit of Hurst just because at 3,300 I got to have him a little bit with Burrow.
Yeah, all makes sense. And that's Cincinnati, Tennessee. We'll move to the last early game on the slate, Atlanta, Washington. Before we do, just a reminder, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Don't miss out on any of the content it does. The likes do allow us to bring you guys the show free each and every week. Of course, NBA content, MMA content, golf, all the sports. Tons of free content here on the YouTube channel. It does help us out if you hit that like, hit the subscribe so you don't miss anything. And we got the big 2-hour block coming up on Sunday morning as well. Let's talk about Atlanta and the Washington Commanders next. It is the Commanders 3.5-point favorites here. Snyder, 40.5 total. McKissick still going to be out for Washington. It's been the split backfield between Gibson and Robinson. Not a ton of involvement in the pass game there. Kind of, I think, somewhat pedestrian plays this week. Mariota, Heineke, kind of mirror images, right? Not a ton of passing volume. They can both run a little bit. I think somewhat limited upside. We've seen some big games from both in the past. And then, McLaurin coming off not a slow game. I mean, not a terrible game, 4 receptions, 55 yards, but not what you're looking for, certainly, if you rostered him. But the matchup is pretty damn good for the Commanders here. So they could certainly get the offense going. Kyle Pitts, mercifully placed on IR. You don't have to consider Kyle Pitts, the trap that is Kyle Pitts, anymore. I don't know. I'm pretty lukewarm on this game, but go ahead and talk to me on some of these plays, Snyder, if you can.
Yeah, I think this is a nice spot for some more under-owned leverage running back plays here. We get a Washington team and Gibson and Robinson. It looks like they've been kind of riding the hot hand there the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, Robinson had the bulk of the workload. Last week, it was Gibson. But they come into a good matchup here against the Falcons, who are giving up over 28 points a game to the running back position over the last 4 weeks. So I think they're going to go overlooked. Like, I think Robinson's going to be like 1% owned, and I think Gibson's probably going to be somewhere like around 10%, I think. So I think we are going to have some weather here as well. I think it's going to rain a decent amount here. I don't think the wind's going to be too bad, but I've seen like rain chances like right around 60-70% or something, which is something to kind of note. But I think that just helps the run game even more. So I'm gonna have more Gibson than Robinson in my lineups, but I think I might have a sprinkle of Robinson just in case here. Love the matchup for the running backs here. And then for the passing game, it's now or never for Drake London now. I mean, he's got to be the one that's getting the targets here with Kyle Pitts out, but I don't really want to target this Atlanta passing attack, though. Terry McLaurin, definitely a good play under 6K. He's going to see some ownership. Probably another guy that people consider for cash games and such that is going to have ownership probably 15 to 20% in the large field tournaments. So do with him what you want. But I definitely like the Washington running backs in this spot. Low total, short home favorites against a bad rush D. So I'm definitely in on that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Just the volume of passing just not there for Atlanta. I mean, if you faded those Atlanta pass catchers all year long, you've
just hate letting him throw.
You still got to pick the other right players. But man, it's been a bust of a season for Mariota, at least in terms of the passing game. He himself has been okay from a fantasy perspective, but London, obviously Pitts, now we lost him. I mean,
I think you could go with the Washington defense. So if I was going to pair those up, I was just looking at the Washington defense. They've actually been good the last couple games. They've been getting fumbles, interceptions, sacks.
They get Chase Young back here too as well.
I
think limited snaps, but yeah, a defense that is kind of coming around. They're at home. Atlanta, going out of the dome into a kind of a tough environment.
I love that.
So, yeah, I can get behind the Commanders defense, but overall, I'm not going crazy with this one. What do you see, Locks?
Yeah, I agree with the Commanders' call. Defense-wise, I just think, Mariota has basically one guy to throw to. I might have a couple guys from his side just because I think they're going to be trailing. They're going to have to chuck it anyway. So I wouldn't mind throwing in like a Demir Bird or I don't know, Zacchaeus. Is that how you pronounce his name?
I think so.
Hey, you got it right. There we go. But I mean, at 3,100, 3,600, why not? I can see worse plays, but it's going to be a super sprinkle into my 150 on those guys. I'm not going to have a whole ton of them. Not high on this Falcons offense at all, especially without Pitts. I think it just makes it worse, plus rain. So I'm okay Xing the whole Falcons team almost, other than those couple value guys. On the other side of the ball, Gibson and Robinson are always in play. We see them both get to work. I personally like Gibson a little bit more, but I'm not probably going to get to either one of these two guys because the two guys we talked about earlier in the same price range are just better plays. So I don't think I'm going to play them. The guy I would play on this team is McLaurin. We say it, and we've said it for the past few weeks. Heineke just loves McLaurin, so I'll have that guy in my pool for sure. I'm always going to be high on him, especially when he's under 6K. I mean, they need to raise his price, I think, but I'll keep playing him until they do. That's pretty much all I got in this game. Otherwise, I got little to no exposure on the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Lux. Let's move to the afternoon games. I think all four of these games are pretty interesting for different reasons. First game we'll talk about, one of the highest totals on the slate, sitting at 48.5. Chargers 3-point favorites going on the road to the Arizona Cardinals. Chargers starting to get a little bit healthier. They got Mike Williams back for like one series, hurt his ankle again, so he's going to be out. But they did get Keenan Allen back last week, and he looked pretty good. 5 catches for 94 yards. I think he's basically a full go, at least for now. Josh Palmer, kind of the return of Keenan Allen, kind of seemed to open up things for him. He's interesting, I think, at 5,400. Of course, you've got Austin Eckler, always a popular play, but should fly under the radar a little bit this week, just given the great value options that abound at the running back position. Does seem like Gerald Everett will play. Not a bad tight end option. It just doesn't seem like Trey McKitty and Richard Rodgers, those guys just not involved at all. So it should be Everett that does step back into that key passing down role. SNYDER. And in Arizona, looks like get Kyler Murray back in this game. Hasn't played since week 9, back from the hamstring injury. I assume he's going to be a full go here. It seems like they were kind of cautious with him. Hopkins is interesting, and then Rondale Moore hurt his groin on the first snap. Captain Rondale Moore, so you can thank me for that one. But he is out. Zach Ertz is out. So, potentially big workload for Hopkins here. They do get your man, SNYDER. I'll let you talk about him. Hollywood Brown back in the fold. I know you're not going to play him, so you don't even need to go there. But he will be back in there, 5,300. At least worth talking about. Kind of a lot of moving pieces on both these teams, but high total and at least potential for a shootout here.
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely love this game from a tournament standpoint. Both passing attacks, so I don't think I'm going to go to either of the running backs here, as I'd rather play King Henry for $200 cheaper than Eckler. And I just don't think I'm going to get to Connor because I think some of those 5K guys are just better plays than Connor. Although I could see him getting a lot of work here in dump-offs if Kyler Murray is, in fact, kind of limited still. But I just think I'm going to go with the passing attack more. DeAndre Hopkins is absolutely an elite play, I think, on this slate. And so I actually like Marquise Brown because it sounds like Greg Dortch is going to be out. Rondale Moore is going to be out. So Marquise Brown should get some.
I'm just playing Hollywood Brown. I'm playing Hollywood Brown, Max.
Let's go. 5,300 is a cheap price tag, though, for him because he was in that 7K range there before he got injured. So he's coming back. Should see some easier coverage since Hopkins should be seeing the majority of the tougher coverages there. They'll probably be doubling Hopkins and kind of leaving Hollywood Brown a little bit open. AJ Green's a guy at 3.4K. Maybe he gets some more targets here with Dortch out, but I'm not sure I can click on him. Robbie Anderson.
I'll play. Come on,
SNYDER. No,
I'll play Demir Bird or Zacchaeus over freaking AJ Green.
AJ Green did have 9 targets last week, though. I mean, he had 9 targets, 5 for 50, 10 points for 3.4K.
Was out.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's going to be out, and Dortch is going to be out as well. So they need three receivers, so those 3 wide receiver sets. And I think Robbie Anderson did enough to put himself in the doghouse for the rest of the season. So somebody's got to be out there. And then at tight end, they have Trey McBride there, which I think is a fine option there at 3.1K. Didn't really do that much last week. 4 catches for 14 yards, which was kind of not optimal there, but I definitely like Kyler with that price tag under 7K. He's got that upside to just nuke a slate. And then on the other side of the ball, we got Justin Herbert underpriced too, I think. And Herbert is kind of coming back into it there. Had a good game last week against the Chiefs, 76% completion percentage there. And he gets an underpriced Keenan Allen there too with no Mike Williams. You got Keenan Allen at 6,100. I think he should be at least 1K higher than that. So, I mean, we could just stack this game up a ton of different ways, I think. DeAndre Carter's 3.7K is another cheaper guy if you want to run it back there. Palmer had the big game again. He's still underpriced. I mean, there's just so many ways I think you can stack this game up. So I'm definitely going to have a lot of consideration and conviction on stacking this game up multiple ways.
Senator, I hope you win $1 million with Marquise Hollywood Brown. I really do.
I'm going to put him in it.
I would love to see it. Locks, your thoughts here on this one?
I was going to say, you can pay me $20, SNYDER, and then I'll put them in.
Fair enough.
Man, if I eat crow on that one, then I'll eat crow. That's okay.
You don't like the Arizona passing attack?
What's that?
You don't like the Arizona passing attack?
I do, but not AJ Green. Holy cow.
No, I was talking about Marquise Brown.
Yeah, I don't mind him. That's not a bad play.
Yeah.
I'll be playing Marquise Brown. I was giving shit on that one, but AJ Green, I'm being serious. I will not have him at all.
No.
I don't mind the Murray call. I always like Kyler Murray. I just think he has the upside to he does. He has the upside to break any slate with his legs and with his arm, especially with Hopkins in there. He just peppers the guy. So I definitely will have some stacks with him, Hopkins. I don't know. I might max one of Hopkins or Brown, but if Murray gets there, he's going to probably need both of them. So I probably won't do that. I don't care to have both of them. I wouldn't mind it. If I'm going to have Murray and he's going to have his ceiling game, then yeah, he's going to need those 2 guys. So that's my interest on that side. Not a whole lot of interest in James Conner, maybe a sprinkle. I'll have him in my pool a little bit. On the other side of the ball, with the Chargers, Keenan Allen just scares me still. The guy's so freaking fragile. I just don't know if I can get there at $6,100 for him. I got more interest in Josh Palmer at 5.4. And then Herbert has looked a lot better. And if I'm going to play Herbert, I like playing Eckler with him or without him because Eckler's just a beast. I mean, Herbert dumps it to him. They can both get there, in my opinion, in the same game, Herbert and Eckler, especially against the Cardinals. So this is definitely an interesting stackable game. That can be high scoring and can easily win you the millie. So I'll definitely have a lot of pieces out of here. I like the Everett call too, $4,400 at tight end. Why not? Great call there. So my favorites on the Chargers side, probably Herbert, Eckler, and then Everett, Palmer. On the other side of the ball, I like Murray with Hopkins and Brown.
Yeah, certainly a good game. Chargers and Arizona Cardinals. We'll keep going to what I think is another very, very strong game. Las Vegas Raiders, Seattle Seahawks. I talked about it last week. Locks, obviously, you were on the Russell Wilson train, unfortunately, with me. Didn't work out, but, the premise of it was just this Las Vegas Raiders pass defense. Any metric you look at, they are close to dead last in the league, including SNYDER completion percentage allowing a 71.5% completion percentage are the Las Vegas Raiders. That's dead last in the league. You know who leads the league in completion percentage is Geno Smith, sitting at like 73%. Now he's at home. Lowest sack percentage for the Raiders. Again, it's just doing nothing. And what's interesting is Wilson, I know he sucked, but like, this dude has one of the lower completion percentage of any quarterback in the league this year, under 60%. Against the Raiders, what did he do? Completed 77% of his passes. Obviously didn't get there because he sucks and the Broncos suck, but he still was able to 247 yards through the air, 24-31. Potential eruption spot, I think, here for Geno Smith. And if I was willing to play my most hated man in the NFL, Russell Wilson, against the Raiders, you're damn sure I'm willing to play Geno Smith at home. He's got his 2 weapons healthy coming off the bye, right? I think Seattle with Metcalf and Lockett, who both are, I think, kind of a little bit banged up at times, but should be ready to go here. Yeah, Geno Smith can be one of the more popular quarterback plays, but I am in at 6K on Geno Smith, 6K on DraftKings. I like both Lockett and Metcalf. I don't know if you guys have a lean between the two. I always kind of lean Metcalf, but I'll have plenty of both guys, including plenty of double stacks and plenty of Mr. Kenneth Walker as well, who, one kind of concern with him was, would he lose the third down passing down role to Travis Homer, DJ Dallas? He had a rough game against Tampa Bay running the ball, but got 8 targets, 55 yards through the air. And, if this game goes like I think it's going to go, with Las Vegas just allowing completion after completion, especially with the way Geno Smith throws the ball, like, they should be able to move the ball, right, and convert third downs. And that could lead to, just more Kenneth Walker work. I see, Snyder, this game, I mean, I don't think play all 4 guys together, but Geno, Walker, Lockett, Metcalf, you could see those 4 together just marching up and down the field on this Raiders team. I'm big on Seattle this week. And the nice thing is you got the obvious run back with Las Vegas, right? I mean, Davante Adams, didn't matter against Patrick Surtain and the Broncos, had a massive game. You can go to Josh Jacobs, too, if he wants. I know he's questionable. I do expect him to be in there. But, yeah, Davante Adams kind of the one I want, especially given the state of wide receiver. So give me those Geno doubles with Davante Adams run back, and I'll build from there. Your thoughts here, Snyder?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. You can plug that in. You can get that Geno double with Adams coming back, and you still got $4,500 in remaining in salary.
It's too easy, but sometimes you don't need to fight it when it looks that good.
Definitely. So I'm going to be overweight on Geno. I'm probably going to play him in cash and everything. So definitely love this Seattle team. If you've got if you're sitting high in the tournaments coming into this afternoon slate and you don't have much PMR left, I think it's going to be a kind of a rough afternoon for you. So I think you need to have a lot of PMR coming into this afternoon slate, because I like a lot of these games. I think these games can kind of nuke out, and definitely like the Geno Smith doubles there. 6K is underpriced. Both those receivers are mid 6K, so low 6K. So I really like that. And Davante Adams coming back. I mean, they finally figured out what they need to do for this to move the ball in offense here. 13, 14, and 17 targets in his last 3 games. He's went over 30 in all 3 games. So I think Adams is probably the best play on the slate as it comes to like raw points or whatnot. Yep. So I'm definitely going to have some Adams in my teams. I think I am going to be underweight, though, on Kenneth Walker. I haven't really been playing him much. He's kind of been boom or bust. It's either like 12 or 13 points or 30, then 12, then 30. So it's kind of been up and down. And I think I'm just going to get more so overweight on the passing attack here, and I just don't want to play all the chalk running backs. So I'm going to have to make some stands on which ones I play. I think Walker's going to come in, somewhere 25 to 30% owned. So if I'm going to play White and the other guys, I'm going to need to cut somebody. I think Walker's going to be the guy I cut just because I'm going to play Geno and stuff. I think we could go back to Foster Moreau. They keep his price tag in that low 3Ks. He's shown some upside at times, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think I'll actually get to him. I don't really see the upside there looking at his game log now. So if he's going to have any ownership, I'm going to be off of that. So I think it's just going to be that double and the bring back with Adams there. Josh Jacobs is interesting. He's going to be under 15% owned, so I think he's interesting for tournaments then. But, not too much outside of that double. And then, I'm not going to play Mac Hollins or Derek Carr, so it's just going to be Davante Adams or maybe some Josh Jacobs in that run back.
Yeah, Mac Hollins was pretty involved last week. 9 targets, caught 6 of them for 52 yards. So I don't hate that at 4,400 if you're going big on the Seattle side. Your thoughts here, Las Vegas and Seattle?
Yeah, definitely a game that can nuke. I see kind of a hoop millie stack right here.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the Geno.
This is the game. Wasn't this the game that he nuked last time?
There you go. Yeah, I mean, Geno Smith with Metcalf and Lockett, run it back with Jacobs and Adams and win a millie. It could. I mean, I could see it happening.
Yeah.
That's the funny part with those guys. So definitely a lot of interest in those 5 guys I mentioned very quickly. And then Kenneth Walker. I mean, the guy's a stud. He had a little bit of an off game his last time out, but we've seen what he can do. He's going to get the carries. So definitely some interest there. Those 4 guys on that side. On the other side, the only other guy other than Jacobs and Adams I'll be playing is Foster Moreau at 3,400 at the tight end position. He'll be in my pool. Like that guy, anytime he's playing for Waller. I just think when Carr throws, it's to Adams, it's to Moreau. Yeah, he throws to Mac Hollins every once in a while, but I don't know. I just can't get behind Mac Hollins, even though he's only $4,400. So on the Raiders side, it's Jacobs, Adams, Moreau for me. On the other side of the ball, you can play Geno with Metcalf, Lockett, and even Walker. Throw him in there too.
Yeah, Moreau had a 100% offensive snap share last time out, 3,400 in the game. We think could get there. So I'll be in on. I like Adams the best, but I'll have some Moreau and Mac Hollins mixed in as well with my Geno Smith stacks. Let's keep it moving. The LA Rams. The lowly LA Rams are 15.5-point underdogs going into Kansas City, 41.5 total here. So the Rams not expected to do much. You'll see, I think a lot of people rightfully play the Chiefs defense at 2,800, very underpriced against this Rams team, missing everybody. Stafford is out. Kupp is out. It'll be Bryce Perkins behind center. SNYDER, you're the college football guy. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what he can do, what he can't do. Juju Smith-Schuster will be back for the Chiefs. Tony is out. Hardman is out. So, yeah, those Chiefs wide receivers have kind of been all over the place, but it'll be, I think, mostly Schuster, MVS, Kelsey, obviously, and then Watson and Sky Moore mixing in as well. Obviously, Kelsey is, if you can afford him, he's kind of the play each and every week at tight end. I don't think that's any different this week, although I will say I'll be going away a little bit from Patrick Mahomes here. Isaiah Pacheco, Locks. We'll go to you, Locks. I think this is the Isaiah Pacheco week. They lost Clyde Edwards-Helaire to a knee injury. Pacheco has had these last couple weeks 16 and 15 carries, running the ball really well. Not involved in the passing game, which is always a concern, but this could be one where the Chiefs kind of let the running game take it for once, right? We really haven't seen it with them so far this year, but I've been playing Mahomes for since the day he entered the league, and the Chiefs will do that if they get a chance. Go to the running backs. I think this is the game we see it, and I think Pacheco could be the man here. So 5,500 on DraftKings. I think he's relatively cheap on FanDuel as well, 6,300. Yeah, again, hasn't scored the touchdowns, hasn't been involved in the pass game, but at least to my untrained scouting eye, he's got some juice to him, and I think we could see Pacheco do some damage here. So I do like him. I think on a normal week, Locks, he would be somewhat highly owned, but I think, compared to Jeff Wilson and Rashad White and Samaje Perine and Kenneth Walker, all these good mid-range running back plays, I think he kind of flies under the radar a little bit. So talk to me about Pacheco, the Chiefs, and then if you're crazy enough to play any Rams.
Yeah, definitely not crazy enough to play any Rams other than I think Kyron Williams is actually my most interesting play here. I mean,
he's the best player in the Rams, no question about it. I'm with you there.
Yeah, I mean, they got rid of Henderson. Akers, we could just know they don't like. So, I mean, at $4,900 at sub 5% ownership, I'm going to have some shares for sure, I think. That's a guy, he looks talented. I think they've liked him. I think he started out the year hurt. So, I think he gets more involved. And with those other 5K running backs, why not sprinkle in this guy instead? You're going to have way less ownership. And same thing with Pacheco on the other side. I mean, why not? I love these two running backs, honestly. If you throw these two guys in, I'm not mad at all. 5.5 and 4.9 for two running backs. I could easily see both of them taking over this game and this just being a running game. Obviously, we know what Mahomes can do. He can break a slate. Him and Kelsey, him and Juju, they can get hot. But everybody's going to go to that side of things. So I think those two running backs are definitely the sneaky plays here. And then obviously Kansas City's D, if you want to pay up a little bit, is obviously interesting against this just horrific freaking Rams offense. So that's my lean here is I'm probably sticking with the two running backs, if anything, and then I'll sprinkle Kelsey in. But I actually have a lot more interest in Andrews than Kelsey this week at tight end.
I'm with you. Andrews over Kelsey for me this week as well. Snyder, rather. What do you see here, Casey and the LA Rams?
Yeah, I'm surprisingly going to be different than you guys at the tight end spot, as I like Kelsey quite a bit here. Kelsey's just been just absolutely incredible this year. He's averaging over 25 points the last 7 games. I mean, you can just basically lock him in for 25 at a tight end position that we usually struggle at. So I think that's he's going to come in under owned too. He's probably going to be like 10 to 15% ownership because people just don't like spending up at the tight end position. So I'm going to be over to the field on Travis Kelsey this week. This Rams defense is pretty bad. It's been bad against the last 3 weeks too. So I think Juju Smith-Schuster is interesting. Both Justin Watson and Sky Moore have seen increased in snaps last week, and they're going to be out with Tony and Hardman this week. So I think they could get some increased run at 3K. They'll be in the pool for sure for tournaments. I think that helps kind of differentiate yourself and spend up in other spots. I do like the Pacheco call there. I think he's going to be lower owned. I'm seeing him under 10%. So I definitely like that, pairing him up with the Chiefs defense to kind of get a little different. And I think you can even look to Jerick McKinnon there at 4,700. He's going to see some more snaps here. He's been seeing, right around half the snaps the last few games, and he's been seeing a lot of work in the passing game. So I think he's interesting. And Pacheco is definitely going to see his snaps come up. He's only played 35 and 26 snaps the last 2 games, but he's getting the ball majority of the time when he's out there. So I think he's definitely interesting here. But I'm going to have some Mahomes doubles here, though, with Kelsey and then one of those receivers. Because I think Mahomes is going to come in like 10% owned. If I can get Mahomes under 10% versus a Rams defense that's maybe just kind of calling it quits here at this time of the year, I'm gonna have some KC exposure here. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they scored like 35 points in this game.
Yeah, I kind of expected to. I just think a lot of it could come on the ground, but I'm not going to argue with the Travis Kelsey call. Justin Watson did play 88% of the snaps. He's been,
it's interesting.
Schuster's going to be back, but yeah, Watson, I think at 3K flat and low ownership, you got to at least consider him. What do you get? 4 targets. 67 yards. I think he can play a little bit, so I don't mind that. Justin Watson.
And the rookie got 6 targets, 5 catches for 63 yards last week, and Sky Moore, the rookie, at 3K as well.
Yeah. Again, Juju will be back, but of course, I think you want some exposure some way to the Chiefs, who should put up a bunch of points.
I think they're both better in MVS as well, as far as that goes for it.
I'm not playing MVS anymore. Nah, just not the target volume. I just don't think he can. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's coming. Of course, now he'll probably go off. But anyway, that's Chiefs and the LA Rams. Last game of the slate, the New Orleans Saints and San Francisco 49ers. I don't think a ton of injury news in this one. Looks like Deebo Samuel is questionable. I personally kind of think he is going to play. 49ers, big home favorites here, obviously. 9-point home favorites, 43 total. Man, that was a Monday night, that game in Mexico City. This 49ers team was impressive, as you might expect, given the weapons that they have. McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk. And
I've seen they were like plus 750 to win the Super Bowl now. So they're like the 4th or 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl.
I can't argue with that. And, with one of the best offensive minds in football calling the plays in Kyle Shanahan. So wouldn't be shocking to see San Francisco keep on rolling. The problem, Snyder, is it's kind of hard to pick who it's going to be among these guys. Given the weapons, I don't hate going to what I assume will be a low-owned Jimmy Garoppolo, just because all he's got to do is just get the ball in these guys' hands, throw it 5 yards, and they can do the rest, just kind of manage the offense. So he's a little bit interesting to me if you want to get off the board. It'll be another Andy Dalton week. Of course, Taysom Hill has been mixing in. Not that you're going to play him, but he did get 9 rushes last time out. I don't love the Saints side of this. It'd probably be just Alvin Kamara and maybe some Chris Olave. I won't end up with much of this game, but I do kind of expect SNYDER, San Francisco to keep the offense rolling.
Yeah, this game is, I mean, it's so tough to predict where they're going to go with the ball in this offense now. 2 games ago, we saw Elijah Mitchell have 18 carries, and in the last game, he only had 9 carries. Still was very effective on those 9 carries, rushing for 60 yards. So he's definitely still holds that upside.
They're going to move the ball. It's just hard to know who's going to be too.
Then you got McCaffrey. You got to spend $8,800 on McCaffrey, and he only got 7 carries last week. You know he's going to be active in the passing game. He got 7 passes, but I mean, I think they're going to kind of try and limit his touches as we get closer to the playoffs, just to make sure he's fully healthy for that possible Super Bowl run. So I'm kind of leery on playing him anymore this season, like outside of maybe some showdowns or something. So I'm going to be off of him and more so like on Derrick Henry there for cheaper. And then you got the receivers here. Good prices on Samuel. Ayuk's kind of priced up a little bit, but like last week again, Jimmy G just keeps looking for Ayuk, especially in the red zone. Ayuk had 2 touchdowns last week, only caught 2 passes, but they were both red zone targets. So interesting. I don't think I can really go to this team much, though. I do think George Kittle is a great tournament play, though. At only 5,300, I mean, he should be in like that mid 6K range. He caught 2 touchdowns last week, 84 yards. I think one of the touchdowns was kind of when they had the game kind of well in hand. So that was interesting to see that they were still looking to him. But generally, we want to play George Kittle in closer games when we see some more back and forth. But I don't think I'm going to see myself getting to much of this unless it's in like a 150 set. I don't think any of these guys would make like a 20 max set for me this week, though.
Yeah, it makes sense. Locks, thoughts here on Saints and 49ers?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty one-sided for me as far as this game goes. The more we look at this, I almost just want to X out every AM game and just freaking play the afternoon games. The more I'm looking at, there's some spots obviously early you want to get to, but a lot of my ownership's probably coming late, to be honest with you. On this one, it's all 49ers for me. I got interest in maybe Kamara and Olave from the other side. Those are the only 2 Saints I've really played all year. But other than that, I mean, McCaffrey, you got Debo. Ayuk's looked freaking impressive the last 5 weeks, I think. He's actually impressed me, and at 6,400, I got some interest there. And then we saw Kittle come back to life. He's actually had decent games. He's scored 3 of the last 4 weeks, so he's starting to come back to life a little at 5.3. I think all these guys come in kind of low owned, so definitely some interesting spots to get to if you have if you want to make some late swaps. Say you're trying to get different than everybody else, and you got some of those other games like the Seahawks Raiders or Cardinals Chargers, and you're looking to get different. Go to the Niners. Play all these Niners guys on offense, because I think they're just going to smash the freaking Saints. Their offense just looks so good.
Yeah,
they have so many weapons. It's just pick your poison, pick which one you want, and go with it. But McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle for me. Nothing on the other side, and then I'll be slamming some 49ers D as well.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. 49ers Saints, that's 11 games. And I did not forget, SNYDER. We will do the plays of the day for the Sunday Week 12 main slate. SNYDER, let's start with you. Your play of the day.
I'm kind of going back and forth on a couple of plays. I did like the play. Maybe Locks is going to go to that, so I'll save that one for him. And I'm just going to go with the trusty guy that nobody tends to pay up for at tight end. I'm going to go with Travis Kelce. Goes for at least 25 again, yet again for like the 8th straight week. So I'm going to go Travis Kelce as my play of the week.
All right. Well, we'll be fighting over the touchdowns for the Chiefs. I'm going to my man, Isaiah Pacheco. I think he has his first big breakout game for the Chiefs. I've liked what I've seen from him. Seems like the Chiefs like him too. And with the injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, listen, I don't think they really want to use Jared McKinnon as a kind of traditional running back. So I think it's going to be Pacheco. I say he goes 25 for 152 and 2 scores on the ground for Mr. Pacheco. Should be under 10% owned as well. So the Mom's Basement play of the day. Locks, your play of the day.
I like those 2 calls for sure, but we got another guy that's at his lowest price since week 2, I think. Is another tight end. I'm going to go Mark Andrews as my play of the day. I think he's coming in I mean, he's going to have decent ownership, but not as high as he should, I think. And I mean, the price tag 6,500 for him is disrespectful. I think he just gets peppered this week, and he's definitely going to score. It's either going to be 100 yards and a touchdown or under 102 TDs. One of the two.
Double tight end season.
Not many people will go with the Kelsey Andrews pairing, but yeah, I think it's legitimate this week for sure. Both guys can obviously pop off for 25 plus fantasy points. That'll do it for the Week 12 Millie Maker Roundtable. We do appreciate you guys watching each and every week. If you haven't done so yet, hit the like button on your way out. We appreciate it. It does help us bring you these shows free of charge each Saturday night. And of course, tune into the 2-hour block Off the Chalk and the Morningwood Show starting bright and early Sunday morning. And if you want to join the winning team over at runpeersports.com, we do have our best promo, one of our best promos of the year, if not the best. Turkey 50, I believe, is still active. That will get you 50% off your first month's payment, including if you want to bundle with SaberSim. But either way, Turkey 50, if you want to join the crew over at Run Peer Sports, highly recommend them, and I think you won't regret it. All right, that will do it. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Thanks for watching. For Locks, for Snyder, I'm DC, and we'll check you next time.